was like, yeah, 100%. Like, I want to see you. Like, let's jump on a Google Meet. Like, I'm going to do it over the phone. And I'll recommend that for most people because for most of your homeowners, right, you don't want to run the risk of them fiddling with technology that could get in the way.
I ended up being in like the top 2, top 3 in sales in the whole company the last 3 months. And I made a joke. I said, hey, they must have sent out a memo that everyone in the industry was like kind of taking it easy and they were just kind of phoning it in for the holidays. And I never got that email. Like, it's just all your perception about what's going on, right?
Let's get this thing started, baby.
Get the show on the road.
There's Rich McCoy. What's up, Rich?
How we doing? How we doing?
And there's Joel, my solar coach, Gossett.
What's going on, crew?
Make sure Joel can hear me because I know if he hear me, he'll be putting his fingers up in the air. Can you hear me, Joel?
I can hear you, big dog.
Yeah. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Solar Pulse Podcast with Josh and Joe. We got some amazing guests this episode this week. The theme is solar coaches in the solar industry. And these guys are two of the best. First of all, we got my boy, Joel Gossett, who I know for years. Killing it in the solar industry. Now we got people in the videos following him around, killing out there. What's up, Joel?
What's going on, Joe? Nice to see you, Josh. What's going on, everybody? Rich.
What up? What up?
Speaking of Rich, we got Rich McCoy, or met a couple of years ago in the objection handling contest with Aurora. Fucking killed it. And ever since, it's always I've seen his social media, his YouTube, amazing content. Also has his video team, follow him around everywhere. What's up, Rich?
How we doing, man? I'm excited to chat with you guys today. I am excited. How you guys doing?
Always good.
I am amazing. And welcome. You guys know, I know Joel knows Josh. Rich, have you met Josh before?
I have not. I don't think Josh and I have ever gotten a chance to meet yet.
Good to meet you. Do I know Joel?
We might have met in like passing, Josh, but we never really like sat down and had some deeper convos. But yeah, pleasure to be here.
Well, good to properly meet you both. How was Christmas? I know this might get released a bit later, but Christmas was a certain number of days or weeks ago during the time this gets released. How was it? You guys have a good one?
Christmas is always a good time, man. Kids get some gifts and just get ready for 2024, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. We were down in Orlando at Universal Studios. My son's birthday is just a couple of days before Christmas. We still do. We're not the family that's like, well, let's just do it all at once. So we make sure he gets a fair shake at both. But we were down there for 3 or 4 days. Just got back a couple of days ago, and it was a great time. It was a great Christmas. So I hope you guys had a great one as well.
Love it.
The question is, how is this guy down in my neck of the woods and I don't even know about it?
I gave you a heads up, actually. I gave you a heads up. I think how far is Orlando from you? I know Florida's a big
about
place.
2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Okay. That's not terrible.
We're going to have to run the tape back. When we go to court, we're going to have to see documentation on all this.
You're not 2 hours from Orlando. I thought you're in Miami, bro.
Bro, I live in an area called Lake Worth, and nobody knows where that is. And then my next step up is I say West Palm Beach, and people still don't know where that is. So I just say Miami, and then everybody knows.
All right, Joel, tell us a little more real quick. Make sure before, some people may not know who you are. Just real quick, a little 30 seconds about when you started in the solar industry and where you're doing now, bro.
Yeah, man. So my name is Joel Gossett. I was born in Venezuela. Came to the States about 3 decades ago and, played baseball professionally, high school, college, a little bit beyond that. Was in a couple sales positions. Not hitting, bro. I was a pitcher. I worked in the casino industry, the gaming industry. I was a poker dealer for about 10 years, played professionally poker for a while. And then came across the solar industry, man. And, once I was presented this beautiful opportunity to help families be more sustainable and environmentally and financially savvy with their electricity. I was like, yo, who's not gonna do this? Dove right in. 3 years later, have just been enjoying the ride, the growth, and the impact that has been made so far, not just in homeowners, but people that have been able to provide for their families and grow by leveraging this industry. And then now just looking forward for the future, embracing all the challenges that come with this industry. This whole solar roller coaster nonsense that people talk about, I don't buy it. I think it's just life. And we just got to embrace it head on, man, look for the solutions and just keep it moving. So.
Love it. Yeah. Joel's one of those people is like multi-talented. Whatever he starts at, he fucking gets really good at. Even like bowling or whatever it is, singing. He started rapping right now for you guys, like freestyle. And like Joel is just one of those unique talents out there, bro. Good shit. And Rich, bro, want to do the same thing, 30 seconds, how you got started and what you doing now, bro?
Yeah, so I've been in solar since about late 2018, 2019. I really got my first start there. Worked for one of the top rooftop residential solar companies in the country around that time. Started off in sales, got promoted a couple of times. Before my departure there, I was leading both a Kansas and Missouri market, as well as a team in Houston, as well as being a national trainer for that company. Then decided to do something different. A big part of why I chose to start my own thing was not to make more money. I just had a vision for a different culture that I wanted to provide for the front line. I think that salespeople, even in our space and a lot of other companies, get treated very expendable, right? But every company is driven by sales. If you don't have sales or revenues, you're out of business, right? So I just, for the life of me, could not understand why companies didn't want to take care of their people. So had this vision to treat all of our sales reps like blue chip athletes, right? Like I'm Coach Prime and they are the best football players in the country. That's how I wanted them to feel when they came to work at Revis, right? So we do a lot of things different. And that's what I had in mind when I started Revis back in 2019, late 2019. Been rocking and rolling since. So fast forward to today, Revis looks a little bit different, right? We have a dealer program versus being a direct sales org where we work with other sales organizations just like ours. Majority of my time is now spent coaching and consulting with other companies and reps alike as well. So that is a quick intro about me and solar.
Let's go. And both of those, that was great. But we want a little bit more. We wanted to learn a couple more things about you guys. So we have a little segment Josh will talk about right now.
Sure. Little segment we do every single time called 5 words or less. Editor's going to put some fancy things on the screen, 5 words or less. Here's the rules, but these are generally, they start as rules, but then they just sort of go towards guidelines after a few questions. The rule is I'm going to answer you a question. We ask the same questions every single time. You have 5 words to answer, right? So how you interpret those rules is up to you, but we try to keep it nice and concise with 5 words, all right? We're going to start real, not shallow, but just some basic stuff to get the audience to know a bit about you, and then we're going to go a bit deeper, and then we're going to open up conversation and have some fun time today. So first one, I know it's cheesy, but let's let the audience know a bit about you. Describe your personality, 5 words or less. Let's start with Joel.
Never a dull moment. Yeah. Try to stay within the 5 words, man. You gotta end with a yeah. Yes is always fun.
Great job.
He took my answer. No, I'll go with direct, competitive, driven, compassionate. Is family oriented 1 word or 2? That if it is,
we'll put a hyphen. We'll put a hyphen in there.
You already disqualified, bro. I win.
Sure. So
I win 6. I
if
win.
it was a competition, I need to give different answers. If there's a prize on the line,
Rich, there's always a competition, man. There's always the unspoken competition.
It's already getting fun, baby.
Not a competitive bone in anyone's body on this call for sure.
Nah.
All right, cool. So yeah, so you can stick to 5 words or less. 5 words or less. You don't have to throw filler words in there. Second question: if you weren't in solar, what would you be doing? Let's go with Rich first.
If I were not in solar, what would I be doing? Right now, I would probably be doing something still, obviously in sales. Oh, 5 words or less, right? I'm looking at Joe's heads. Let's rewind the tape. Ask me the question again.
If you were not in solar, what would you be doing? 5 words or less.
Sales.
Done.
Consulting.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm sticking with it. I like that. I'll take that.
Can I take
Well,
his other
no,
3
that-
words that he didn't use?
that's too
Can I get 8
general.
words?
I don't
Everything
need
is
all
sales.
five, so, yeah.
Life is sales, though. That could be literally anything.
Exactly. That's my answer, though.
There you go.
there you
I'm
go.
selling something.
All right. You're always selling. I always used to tell like guys that are coming in for an interview and they've never done sales before, but they obviously have like the gift of the gab. I would always say, man, I don't give a rat's ass if you've ever done a job with sales in the title. You were born a salesperson when you were 5 years old, and your mother comes in the room and says, "Did you break the flower vase?" You said, "No, Mom, it was James. I didn't do it." You're selling something. If the teacher's saying, "Hey, stop talking in class," you're like, "I wasn't talking. It was him." You're trying to sell somebody some sort of concept from day one. So sales
Oh
is
my
everything.
God.
So
Let me tell you about it. My son Max, he's 9 years old, and I'm telling you, he's a talented salesperson. If he wants something, he will figure out a way to make sure he gets that thing one way or another. Like, people sometimes are born with it. What do you think, Joel?
Can we just talk about why sales has such a bad connotation? Like Josh
I
said, we've all been
know.
doing this since birth.
Exactly.
Like, can we just stop all the noise? I mean, those door to door old school like shove down your throat salespeople. That was like, those are like dinosaurs. That doesn't even exist anymore. But for me, the 5 words would be self-development, personal life coach.
Nice.
That would be what I would be doing.
love it.
Utilizing Instagram.
Number
skills.
3. Yeah. Number 3. Who's your biggest solar influence? But you could just say like life influence if it's not a solar person. 5 words or left. Let's go.
You have
Joel
to leave
first.
me out of it, though. Sorry, guys.
My biggest solar influence would be impacting our world for generations.
More so looking for a person.
Like, who's your influence? Who influences you in your career?
It doesn't have to be someone in solar. Maybe someone outside of solar influenced you for what you're doing in solar.
It could have been your baseball coach. I don't know.
You know what? My kids influence everything I do. I did a 6 word.
There you go.
Love it.
Rich, you're up. Who's your number one?
So I'm gonna pick a person. I think we're just picking people now. Is that right? Early in my career, if I had to boil it down to one person, it'd definitely be Mr. Sam T, Mr. Sam Taggart. His coaching and courses helped us so much, and a lot of the content is so valuable and still relevant now that it still rings true and still helps generate revenue. So 100%, Mr. Sam T and the DDD Experts team for sure.
Love it. Stuff.
I'm sorry, man. I'm not like a huge rule follower here, but are we still on the 5 words? Because that was a lot.
No, you definitely won that
Rich is
round,
my
Joel.
guy, but he's getting more TV time than I just want to be fair,
All right, number 4. Why are you in solar? Rich, you can go up first. 5 words or less.
5 words or less? I'd give a better answer if you guys take.
We're still on
this.
We got other stuff.
Five words, perfect. Why am I still in solar? Need, financial benefit.
I like how you said financial benefit is one word.
Finances, whatever you want to call it. So I'm gonna stick with financial benefit. Need, financial benefit. And then lastly, because I don't want to take up too much time in this. I'm having trouble thinking. Growth, for sure.
There you go. Joel, you're up. Why are you in solar? And this is our second last question. Then we'll cut the 5 words lefts and start jumping into stuff.
Thank goodness. All right. Innovation, impact, change, legacy, and fun.
There we go. And last one, 5 words or less on this challenge. We always like to put, especially sales guys, through the ringer with simplifying answers because we all know KISS. So last one, 5 words or less, ultimate solar career goal, or just solar or career goal in general. It doesn't have to be solar, but what's the pinnacle look like for you? 5 words or less. Let's go. Who's that last time?
I went last time.
Joel's up first.
Ultimate goal in solar career. Grow financially and impact others.
There we go. 5 words. Rich, you're up.
Repeat the question for me again.
Repeat the question for me again.
All right, good round.
Well, ultimate career goal / solar career goal. What's the pinnacle look like for you? 5 words or less.
But my 5 words or less are I'm doing it now. And my reasoning after my answer is that, yes, there's a ton of room for me to grow, like a lot. But I love all of the areas that I get to play in right now. Like, I love it a lot. So I gave 2 answers, but I gave the 5 words. Joe knows that I'm not good at timed things and like tedious direction and instruction. That's why I pay a lot for operations help. I'm not good at a ton of things. If you give me a time constraint, like if a homeowner's like, we got a hard stop at this time, I'm like, we're rescheduling. Either, that kid's going to have to wait at T-ball for an extra 30 minutes, or we need to do this at a different time, but I can't be rushed. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah,
Rich, the type of guy that takes 5 hours to explain KISS to somebody.
I don't know about that.
I'm that type of guy as well, by the way.
For all the listeners, there's no situation where you are going to be faced with the ability to make a large amount of money and you can only use 5 words, 5 seconds, or 60 seconds. That's just not a thing. It's not a thing in our field, at least, or any other field that you know of or that you probably want to be in. But for the sake of the deal, it is fun.
There we go. Nice.
Well,
all right. Go for it, Joe. Take it away.
So, let's talk about what you are good at. And what I've seen is that you're great at making some content. And both of you guys are solar sales coaches. But I also see some content like for homeowners. And for myself, early in my career, a lot of my content was focused on homeowners. Telling them about solar, make an appointment, blah, 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 not so crass, but like focused on the audience of homeowners. I've evolved or changed to now more, B2B, solar pros and solar companies in my audience. How do you guys handle that balance? And what kind of content, or, Joel, what kind of content? I know you're making a lot of solar sales, but I've seen a lot of homeowner facing content too. Like, how do you balance the two?
Yeah, good question, Joe. I mean, I think social media, man, is such it's not something you can kind of pin down in a box or sit in one category, because then you're going to lose a lot of audiences. So there has to be some sort of balance. I mean, we're all going to social media at the end of the day to be entertained. So you don't want to keep hearing the same, conversation just to solar pros or just to homeowners, because then you're going to, again, lose the other audience. So I feel like with this solar industry, we have the ability to reach a lot of people. And I feel like content for a solar professional, if a homeowner sees it, it just kind of gives them more of an insight on what's going on, right? And then like if you're doing content about a homeowner or something for a homeowner, I feel like a solar professional can see that and be like, wow, that's a great idea. I'm going to use that in my repertoire to be able to be better at my sales. And, my personality, I've always liked to be outgoing, man, have a good time, make people around me laugh. So I try to bring more of like the comical side into both of those. And, life is very fast, very short, and a lot of people take it way too serious. So I feel like if we have more fun in the things that we do, which again, social media is about entertainment, is kind of presented itself well with audiences. And you know what, at the end of the day, people ask me all the time, man, how many clients do you get off of social media? And I tell them very little. But what it does is it provides a credibility to your name. And when I do post a lot of the motivational stuff that I post, man, there's nothing better than getting a notification that you just got a $10,000 commission than somebody saying, hey, man, that message that you put across really hit home to me. I was having a tough time. And man, I appreciate, you saying that it really lifted up my spirits. Like that right there, bro, game changer for me. So that's why I just keep going hard in the paint.
I agree with you on like wholeheartedly on, that catalog of content. When someone watches that, it is such a big difference them seeing an ad and clicking it versus them like, I get all the time people, binge watch our YouTube channel and then they'll message me like, dude, I feel like I already know you. And so that trust is like built. But let me pitch the devil's advocate for, you said having it together, it's always seeing the same content. A sales rep always seeing sales rep content, homeowner always seeing homeowner content. The devil's advocate argument would be, well, okay, let's say I'm doing a training on neurolinguistic programming. Now that shit is weird to hear if you're the person that it's being used on. You know what I mean? Like it's totally true. And every salesperson should understand psychology. But I don't know. And I don't know. I want to know your thoughts on this. I don't know if I, as a customer, would want to see on the same channel that I also discovered like, oh, this guy's cool. I'm going to get my solar with him teaching other people how to figure out my psychology to convince me of something. I don't know I think I'd feel weird if I saw that content.
So interesting topic that you bring up on that. So I feel like it's all in what you're perceived to think and feel towards the homeowner, right? If your perception is that you're trying to scam or coerce them into doing something that's not going to help them, then yeah, I would agree. I'd be like, hey, this guy's using this manipulation techniques to try to sell me something, right? Mm-hmm. But if within the content, they're understanding that, look, solar is a plus, it's a benefit. There is zero, benefits to staying with the utility company. And if these are some of the ideas or concepts that he's using to help break down my preconceived notions and walls and barriers that I've had since I was, born and trained with to help me put me in a better situation. Look, man, at the end of the day, you can't make everybody happy. Josh, you know this. Joe, you guys make tons of content. Like there's going to be people that hate your stuff, people that love it, and everybody in between. If a customer feels that they're being coerced into going solar, but at the end of the day, they're saving money, they're going to thank me in the long run. And the ones that don't, they're just not going to go with me. They're going to go with Rich.
Speaking of Rich, I noticed a lot of Rich's content is really facing solar pros and solar companies. Are you making content for homeowners? And if you are, how are you doing that?
Zero. So it's a great question. And I had answered the question before I started making any content for the same reason that Josh spoke about. And obviously, when you talk about any sales training, to people who aren't salespeople, it looks like we are teaching people how to manipulate them, right? So I find it very, very difficult to put them in the same place. And then also the reward, the risk to reward ratio is just not there for me. Meaning, for me, using it as a recruiting tool, mostly originally, even now to get more dealers, like the reach is there. They're typing, they're searching. Homeowners, for the most part, they're going to click ads and they're going to call companies and they're going to go with referrals for the most part. Now, I encourage all new reps to start to build that local profile, right? To build that brand reputation, to have some page that is strictly dedicated to them, right? So that helps a lot to have that one page that's only dedicated, but to cross hairs, unless you're Joel, like I don't recommend it for most people because it's, again, risk to reward ratio. Like if you're on the story with the commission check or the car you just bought or whatever the things that all of us see that reps do that are dumb, you walked away from this house and now you posted up on the story, 10K commission. Dude, every time you save somebody's phone number, like your social media pops up in my phone. So just like I can find it, they can find it too. You're leaving my house after you just sold me and you're in the car now talking about got 'em 10K commission. And then the next post the next day is like, hey, did you know you can save? No, they don't want to go with you now. So, like I said, it depends on how people do it, I guess, at the end of the day. But for me, I thought about it, really long and hard in the beginning before I started to make a lot of the content on which route made the most sense. And for what I was looking to do, I thought that'd be easier to attract more salespeople and more relationships within the industry, and gave me a lot more things to talk about that I cared about versus just pitching solar. So long-winded answer, but that's it.
Joel, stop posting your $10,000 commission checks, bro. Okay.
Can I add on that? By the way, whoever keeps doing that crap is killing the industry. Stop posting.
Yeah,
checks.
seriously.
That to me is the dumbest thing ever.
All together.
What I do post about homeowners, just their experiences, right? Just to give other homeowners the ability to be like, wow, somebody did go solar. They had a fun time. It was a pleasant experience. Maybe I should try it, right? But guys, there's industries out there that everybody knows exactly how much they make and nobody cares. Like real estate. Everybody knows that a real estate agent makes 6% of the total thing. So if a $500,000 house, they're splitting a $30K commission from one real estate agent and the other, and nobody bats an eye. It's just kind of like understood. So I'm not trying to say that people that post their things their commission checks is a good thing, but at the end of the day, if they're being serviced well, and they know they're getting a good product and saving electricity and saving on their bills and securing their rate hikes, and they know this person's earning an $8,000 commission check, like everybody's got to make money. I mean, I don't think that should deter homeowners, but I agree with Rich. It's hard to commingle those two things. But homeowners do follow you and they just want to see who you are. And that has worked well, for me.
I could think of some topics that, like training topics, that if a homeowner saw would be beneficial. Like one that would come to mind was, I like using the term solar economics, meaning that no homeowners generally, I say if you could snap your fingers and homeowners understood what the numbers look like, we'd have a 50% market penetration in the US overnight. And one of the biggest issues is homeowners just don't know what the numbers look like. They've never run it. They've always thought, oh, solar, I have to pay out of pocket money I don't have for 20 years to break even in 25 years. So one big concept is like, hey, sales reps, you got to show that homeowners just don't understand the numbers. If you simply, bridge that gap for them, they're going to see. And that's almost like a beneficial thing for a homeowner to see, because it's not convincing anybody of anything. It's like, hey, man, just get them to see the numbers. Here's an example. Homeowners don't know this. This is an easy job. That would be beneficial for a homeowner. So maybe it's like a selective thing. But ultimately, do you think it would be more valuable to separate those in two separate channels, two separate brands? Because the extreme is the guy that shows his bloody commission check. I have a few guys on Facebook are really bad at this. They do services for sales reps. That one day they'll post how much fucking money they made on these services and buying all this crazy shit. And then the next day they'll post, hey guys, we're doing a 10% off discount on the same fucking social media channel. I'm like, wow, what? How does that make sense? I don't get that. But yeah, should it be segregated then? Is there a benefit there?
Following the real estate thing, I mean, most realtors that I know, they typically have like two profiles for that same reason, right? They have that business facing one, and then they have the other one that is more personal and that has their family. And sometimes they reshare and, repurpose the content, and that makes sense. But they typically keep those worlds separate. And I think a lot of what happened in their space is happening in our space. So there's a lot for us to learn from successful realtors from a marketing and branding standpoint, just like all the other things that we should be learning from them as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess it just depends who your target audience is, right? Who your target audience is and how you feel it's going to express and portray with what you're going. Like I said, I don't get many deals, customers hitting me up, but I do get them from time to time saying, hey man, I've been watching your stuff. I've been watching your trainings, and you know what you're talking about. The last 4 guys that came to my house have no idea what they're doing. So it's just kind of, listen, man, there's no secret sauce to this. You got to kind of just play around with it, work with what works, and then, stick to it.
Well, I know you know what you're doing, bro. What are those trophies behind you? I see you got some solar panel trophies there, bro.
Yeah, man. Just we had our little gala award ceremony with our company once a year. So anytime you hit the top ranks in the certain different categories, man, they give you one of these cool little things. But all that is just a testament to the mentors that have taught me to surround myself with a group of people, which is things that I knew nothing about before I got into sales or this industry. So being around people, buying into masterminds, going into events, obviously putting in the work. Right at the end of the day, it's not going to be given to you. Nothing is easy, and then you get to get a couple of cool little hardwares.
But let's be real, bro. Like honestly, you've been in solar for like 3 years now. Has making the content been one of the reasons why you're successful? So let's say the guy is in solar. He's just grinding. He's just selling solar, and he's doing great. He's making money. Is he fine? Does he have to make content? Does the average solar pro out there have to make content, or is it something that you want to do because you're looking to do something in your career?
Well, my vision on content is a lot bigger than just solar. I can only help so many people. I can only build so many teams. But my passion, really, after all this is progressing and is said and done, is really the youth and the young men in this country that have no father figures to really teach them how to be gentlemen, how to be entrepreneurs, how to take care of their families, that kind of stuff. And I just find there's like a huge gap that if I can create a audience and a brand and an influence through solar initially, and then maybe self-development, coaching, etc., then I can use that platform to really impact a lot more people. So that's why I decided to do it. And plus, I love it. It's fun. I love creating. I love engaging with different people. Other people, they just want to put their head down and they treat their entrepreneurial business as a 9 to 5. If that makes any sense. They just want to kind of go to work, come home, and not be in the limelight. And look, that's okay too. It's not for everybody. If everybody was like, us trying to get on top, then we'd be a lot more competitive. But you guys already know the only competition is the one we face in the mirror every day, because there's really no competition out there.
How about you, Rich?
Kind of the same answer. So when I started my YouTube channel prior to solar, I was in marketing, and I knew over the time, like I would change what I was doing, change what I was focusing on, maybe get into other ventures, etc. But I knew that my YouTube channel would basically be proof. Like it was going to be the biggest proof or personal resume in video form that I could have. Even now, if we can jump back on this thing in 5 years, like my channel is going to be just this roadmap timeline of everything I've done in 4K and in different variations. And so that's what I wanted it to be. And so I started creating from that standpoint, not so much like, how can I content market and get lead magnets and build funnels and get them to pay me? But it was just like, I'm going to start posting on this thing and then I'm going to look up in a decade. And it is when I'm at the top, right? Here's going to be the proof for anybody who could doubt buying one of my companies or selling their company to me or partnering with me or whatever opportunity was in front of me. I knew that thing would help over a decade. And so for me, I feel like everyone should do that. I feel like every single salesperson should start to put content, and it doesn't matter about your results. It's actually even better if you don't have the results, because you get to start showing the journey. A lot of people, they start making content, and what's hard about keeping up with it is like, what am I going to show today? Well, when you're in the journey of becoming at whatever stage that is, just show the process. And someone is going to be a couple of steps behind you that is going to love the fact that you just showed what you're doing 3 months into solar, because they start at their new company tomorrow, right? So it's really not like, man, I've got to be in it as long as Josh and Joel and Joe and Rich. It's like, no, you can start now. And when you look up 5 to 10 years, it's going to pay dividends on things that you haven't even thought about. But I can't recommend it enough for everybody to be doing it in some form or fashion.
Do you guys think, so Rich, I was taking a look at YouTube, you started posting a bit about cold calling, fucking music to my ears, been cold calling for solar since 2014, 2015. That, regulations start coming into play. Like we had that recent TCPA thing with age leads and all that. I've said for like a year or two that one of the biggest opportunities, maybe, organic lead gen through content creation to homeowners. Do you think that the average sales rep, like what Joe said, should they be really taking a look at that and saying, you know what, I should be devoting to a year of just constantly posting, not expecting anything, because I know, as lead gen regulation comes into play, organic lead gen through content creation is going to be key here. And should I just devote for the next fucking year, post a few times a week, homeowner specific stuff, and create a brand around that? Should we apply that content game to homeowners, or should we start, elevating that outside of industry and just make it generalized? And do you even think that posting to homeowners for like an industry like solar is a good, organic lead gen machine?
You want to go first, Joe?
Oh,
so yeah, I love it. I see it working a lot for, unfortunately, other industries on like TikTok when it comes to like roofing and other things around the home, where they're just able to capture and create certain scenarios, basically skits, and then their leads just come, right? Not a whole lot of people doing that for solar with the utility bills, acting out certain scenes, but man, TikTok's exposure right now it's the biggest next to YouTube, and you get a chance to be seen. Instagram, I'm like on a super big pause on it right now. The reach is like very little, but the ability for someone to go on TikTok tonight and create an account and post something tomorrow and then another one the day after, and just to do 5 posts over 5 days and reach hundreds of thousands of people for free is easy. And it's not always going to be that way. So to answer your question, yes, I think they need to do that. But also it depends on what platform, because they all operate differently. But that is a particular platform, if any, do I feel like you essentially pitching your service without pitching it really, really, really makes sense there. And that you can use that to gain organic leads for free as we get squeezed by vendors, squeezed by Meta, get squeezed by cold calling laws, etc. The time to start thinking about methods of gaining organic leads was yesterday. But nonetheless, like social media 100% and platforms like TikTok is something that I would leverage if I was deep in building that brand, building myself up in attracting organic leads. Like 100%, I think that's one of the best way, if not the best way, to do it.
Yeah. Do either of you follow Solar Goat on TikTok?
Solar Goat?
Yeah,
Solar
Brandon
Goat.
Serene.
No.
Dude,
Not
he
familiar.
has got to be the GOAT of this, and there's a few reasons why. We had him on the pod a while back. Number one, you meet the guy, and he's not salesy at all. He's an installer. But what he does is he just started posting like, random shit. Homeowner would call him and say their install is fucked up, and he just video, oh look, they used the wrong shit here. Oh, the cables are all messed up here. And he started making his videos pretty cool, and like his timing is really good. But he's not I don't think he has a background in social media or anything. He just started posting. Dude, the guy has, how many subscribers or followers on TikTok does he has now? 100,000? 150,000? He has videos on TikTok that have had millions of views. The videos are of him fixing solar installs. You'd think this guy was fucking Charlie D'Amelio dancing or something, but his reach is insane. And he is so honest. Like, he was on the pod and he was literally on a roof. He grabbed some cables and he was just sitting on a roof. The guy like lives and breathes this shit. I don't know what his numbers look like in terms of leads. In his case, it would be like install repairs and shit, but you could do similar things on the sales side. But if anyone like deserves a shit ton of organic leads, it's someone like that who just love the game, just posts every fucking day, and people see his journey. Like, that is wild that he's been able to build that up, and he obviously loves it. I'd check him out.
I mean, if you guys consider, right, like solar is like the new shiny toy in the world. And the biggest thing that we overcome with homeowners is trust. So if you can create a channel around just the exposure of what it is, so people can get more like acclimated on the process before or after installation, PTO, when you get your first electric bill, and just to see those experiences, so they could be like, wow, okay, that's what it is in this day and age. It's not like back in the day when you used to be sold something before social media or internet, you were just had to take a chance, right? Or maybe word of mouth. So yeah, doing that now is super important, just to build the credibility of the industry and obviously of your brand. I think Josh, you were saying about posting for a year. You don't really know what that number is going to be. You don't know when you're going to explode. It could be 2 years. It could be 3 years. So the consistency is the one thing that just kills everybody.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it is not easy, and that's why nobody does it. I've given my challenge to my community and on the pod multiple times before. If anyone out there is ready to devote, let's say, 6 months to making content every fucking week about and building a homeowner brand, I will personally help you do it. No one has taken me up on the offer because they don't know how bloody difficult it is to come up with content and stream and get content out there on all different platforms like every single week. It is difficult. But that is the purest form in solar right now of elbow grease equaling crazy opportunity. And I think a lot of people as well don't realize that it's not about posting one video and then getting 50 leads from it. It's about having a backlog, catalog of like dozens and dozens and hundreds of videos that one day a homeowner or one of your videos goes viral or one homeowner jumps on and then just starts binge watching. And like I think Joel, you said earlier, it's like they see your journey. And what does that equal? Trust, right? Because if you see that consistency over months and years, it's like this guy's saying the same stuff the whole time. He's still here. He's still posting. Immediate trust, and they feel like they know you. Like, talk about an inbound lead. That has got to be the hottest lead you could possibly get, right? Someone binge watching all your content,
Joel, you get any of those?
What's that? Inbound leads from those? Yeah, man. Like they come up every couple of weeks, man. I'll get a good friend of mine from back in the day or a new customer say, hey, man, anytime I go to a homeowner and I sign them up, I say, hey, do you have social media? And I have them sign me. I say, look, share my stuff. If you like it, I post a lot of motivational things, not just solar related. And people respond well to it, So I think I've taken more of like a family approach on my content as opposed to maybe something like Rich is doing. Like, hey, I'm looking on building businesses, recruiting, and that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, no, it's been good.
Yeah, I love it.
So earlier, Joel, you were saying like solar coaster, schmoller, whatever you said. But a lot of people are having feelings about the solar coaster and this year in particular. But I'll let Rich go first, man. What's going on right now with you with the current state of solar and sales, and not exactly your number or anything, but like what's kind of this has been lately for you this year?
Just to touch on like as far as just the solar coaster in general and what we mean by that, just for the listeners.
There you go.
Well, I guess it was your question, so I guess a better way for me to start it off would describe the solar coaster or what you mean by it for those who might not know.
Well, solar coaster means different ways, but go ahead, Josh.
I think for new reps, this term is really powerful. The way I look at it is, like look at a graph, like a sine wave, just doing this, right? And if you've only been in it for a few months and all you've seen is like down, then you're like, holy shit, the world is ending. But if you've been in it for multiple years, 10 years later, and for me, it's sort of like this. It's still going up, but yeah, you have the dips and turns. So when a new rep says solar coaster, they think like, oh yeah, because it goes up and then it just crashes down and then it's done. But I feel if you've been in it long enough, it's just consistently going up and up and up, whether it's dips or downs. But that's how I would define a solar coaster. It's very subjective.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's kind of what I was getting at. What a rep might think of it, they'll use it when their sales are down, right? They're just thinking of up and down sales. And when someone is down in sales, it's easier for them to point a blame at interest rates, or we don't have this in this market, so on and so forth. But us on this call and a lot of other leaders also on the call as well are watching, think about the things that happen in our industry that cause us to pause or have a dip in revenues. We've seen that from equipment issues to interest rate issues to other companies being in the media or EPCs going out of business. These are all the things that most of us probably consider as a part of the solar coaster. Anything else is just another normal day. But the things that are outside of our control that bring us to a pause, not a complete pause, but slow things down for a little bit, like NEM 3.0 in California, for example, you then got to go back to the drawing board and figure out, like, what do we do? How do we pivot? So on and so forth. I would consider something like that on the coaster. For us this past year, I mean, we've been rocking and rolling pretty well. The biggest thing with managing interest rates is choosing which markets and which products to make it make sense for the homeowner, given their situation with utilities. But that's solar 101. That's basically what solar is anyway. So the job is the same. The variables just got a little bit different. That's it. So, but much like anything else, it's going to be what you make it. So if you have a bad attitude on it or a bad outlook about it, right? Like, of course, you're going to get bad results. But I love when bottleneck situations happen because the competition gets out of the way. It becomes a separator, a separation season. That's the best possible thing that could happen. If you're a person who is tired of competing with people on lead gen, on ad spend, on recruiting, give me another dose of something that makes 30% of people, leave a state or leave the industry total. Because then there's more people for me to help, more people for me to serve, more families for our people to serve at that point. So we kind of like it because we understand that majority of everybody else is going to tuck tails and hide for a second, and then we can come out and play even harder. So for us, Solar Coaster is just kind of another day. We're ready to pivot. We understand that things are going to happen. When you're in a new and booming and growing market like that's still unregulated, that's what's supposed to happen. So, as long as it stays unregulated, just expect more things like that to happen and just be prepared to pivot when you need.
What do you think, Joel? How do you feel about the current state of solar? And Rich, I love that answer, by the way.
Yeah, man. I just think it just depends on what you hear. And what I mean by that is I made a joke a couple months ago on our company's quarterly meeting. I ended up being in like the top 3 in sales in the whole company the last 3 months. And I made a joke. I said, hey, they must have sent out a memo that everyone in the industry was like kind of taking it easy and they were just kind of phoning it in for the holidays. And I never got that email. Like, it's just all your perception about what's going on, right? Like, if you wake up and you stub your toe in the bed, and then all the next things that come out of your mouth is like, oh, today's going to be a crappy day. Here I go, start off stubbing my toe. Like, you're just going to keep finding negative things throughout the day. So just, similar to what Rich was saying, I feel like we have a lot more control about the outcome of what we do than we realize. Yes, there's existential things like the market or supply issues or et cetera, or an installer was sick that day, et cetera. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you notice that your effort when things are going well is different than your effort when there's other things that are affecting you, then you got to be professional enough. And as a leader, be able to explain to your team and bring that to life. Say, look, guys, the reason why we're down in sales is not because the interest rates went up. It's because we've knocked half of the doors that we knocked 2 months ago, right? Like, I had a call with one of my guys today and I said, hey man, did you follow up with that lead? And he said, oh man, I'm not going to call him right now because it's almost like New Year's and between Christmas. Like, they don't want to hear me. They don't want to talk to me right now. I'm like, that's exactly why they're not going to talk to you, because you're already setting that limitation on yourself about what the outcome of that phone call is going to be before you even call them. Like, why not call them and say, hey man, what a better way to start the year with half of an electric bill that they currently have now, and putting them in a better situation leading into 2024. Like, it's just all your perception. So your self-talk, I feel like the preparation that you have with yourself before you go out and take on the day is huge. And, we're in control of a lot of that. And the outcome, if you're really going to have any growth in your career and your life, you need to be self-reflected on that and realize, wow, let me look at what I'm doing. Because the outside stuff we can't control. Like, if you drive off your neighborhood and you get hit, because a lady ran the red light, you can't control that. But you could have left earlier. You know what I mean? Like, so many different things that are in your control. That's what we got to look at.
Perspective,
Love
baby.
that.
Good, Josh. I want to take all the limelight.
Well, yeah. I know we're getting down to the wire here because I think someone has to go pretty early or soon. But I guess we're talking about the negatives that some people perceive as negatives. But I always like to, when people bring that up, I always like to just shine light on like the crazy fucking year 2024 is going to be over the next 2024 and 2025 and what's going to happen in solar. What, for you guys, what's the most exciting thing or things that are going to happen in the next year or two in the industry? Go with Rich first, I guess.
What do I feel is going to be one of the most exciting things within the industry to happen over the next year? Oh man, that is a great question. Joel, if you have an answer on the tip of your tongue, you can go first. If not, I can think of something super fast.
Sure. We're gonna cut you off. You call me Joel one more time, man. You know it's
Oh yeah.
Oh, my bad.
It's-
My bad. You're
it's all
100%
good,
right.
it's
And
all
I've,
good.
I've probably done it like 3 or 4 times too today. My bad. You're right.
It's normal, man. I'm from Venezuela, and I came here, and people see Joel, and they say Joel, and then that's a little thing. But yeah, man, I got an answer to that. I think over the next 12 to 24 months, I'm really excited about competition, and I'm really excited about people leveling up. And that may sound weird, be like, why are you excited about more people competing for business? Because then that takes my game to another level, right? Right now, I feel like, you know, there's not that much better I have to do than the other average rep to like win a sale or to take care of a homeowner. But for one, yes, it'll cause more work in me, but it'll help me level my game up, my team's level. But it'll also better the industry because I feel like there's a lot of garbage people in our industry not doing the right things, not working ethically, looking for the grand slam. And that business model I never understood it because if you would just take care of the homeowner the right way and just hit singles, you'll have referral business for the rest of your life. Like why try to scam somebody and then burn that bridge and then have to like hide and duck and be in the shadows when some of these regulations are going to start coming down the pipe. So just innovation, man. I feel like as homeowners get more understanding about where the utility companies are going through the roof, there'll be more open-mindedness, I guess. And I'm just excited to compete. I'm excited to really stick it to the utility companies because they've been doing what they've been doing for decades. And I mean, I do that a lot in the sale, man. I try to get the homeowner, hey, man, let me put my arm around you and let's go after, you know, these Goliaths. So I'm definitely excited about that.
Love it.
My man wants more
You got some-
competitions because he wins. He's always winning competition. Like, give me some more. I need some more competitions to win.
I mean, you know, Joel, you played, competitive sports. One thing I learned really early on is if I'm the best playing, I used to play basketball a lot. I was the best for such a long fucking time, and I never got better. And then I meet people that are like miles better than me, and I just get fucking floored. And so I started driving for. I don't want to play with people that are at my level or below anymore. The second you're around other people, your game just shoots through the roof because your natural instinct is you got to evolve, you got to get better. So I get it 100%.
I don't think people that aren't, I don't know how people aren't competitive initially, but that they don't understand that about me. It's like when I see somebody that's better, I don't hate on them. In fact, I love that they're there, and it like pisses me off to the core that they're winning right now more than I am. And now it's like, okay, now it's time to take a picture of your face, put it on my phone as a screensaver, and look at you every single day until I take you on, and then we go on to the next. But it's all good, man. It's all fun and games. Look, man, life, like I said earlier, life is super short. We can make all the money in the world, but at the end of the day, man, it's all about the relationships we're building, the impact we're having, and just leaving the next generation a little bit better than the things that the world that we got left, from our generations before us. So.
Love it. What do you reckon, Rich?
Love that,
What's
love that.
exciting you for the next
Yeah,
year?
so a couple things just to kind of tail off of the competition thing. I think when more states kind of follow Nevada and force sales reps to sell for licensed installers and be W-2 employees, I think that solves a lot of the dirty deals, right? I think when you get 30 young guys and you pitch them on this, hey, I'm going to fly you guys out, we'll drive out, et cetera, put you up in the house. We're going to blitz here for 14 days, 21 days. Here's your red line, right? They have to sell above that number to make money. And then they're never going to see these people again. And then they're in a culture that is really pushing them to go, go, go. And then we wonder why we have dirty deals or homeowners who were quote unquote scammed or oversold, et cetera. So I think that when we remove a lot of that out, it makes everybody else's job way, way, way easier. So I am contrary to a lot of people, excited for some form of regulation to happen, because right now we obviously, for whatever reason, can't be adults about it enough to just take care of our industry ourselves. So we're kind of needing it. The next point is, and I don't have a particular thing that I can point at, but I'm excited to see what AI can do on the sales side of things and the lead gen side of things to make things easier. Man, we've been playing around with it a lot. Like I've replicated myself in a custom chat GPT to train all new salespeople. And it is crazy, crazy, crazy. So I know if I myself can build some, some super simple things like that are still blowing my mind, I can't wait to see what the other geniuses who do that stuff day in and day out, like what they can cook up, and then how that's going to change our industry, not to mention change the world. But over the next year, man, that's going to affect so much that people don't really understand. But I can't wait to see how much it affects us in a very positive way on the sales side of things within solar. Like it's going to be crazy for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. Exciting
All right.
stuff.
We're getting to the top of the hour here. So I wanted to do one little last segment before you guys got to bounce. You got a couple more minutes, Rich and Joel?
I do. I've got that covered. I got it covered. So I'm good to go.
All right. So then I got another question before we do that real quick, because you guys are traditionally both solar sales coaches, but door knocking from what I've seen in the past. But now I see you guys going more virtual. So I wanted to ask you guys more. Joel, are you like, I know you do a lot of door knocking. Are you getting more balance with virtual? Like going fully virtual? Are you still door knocking? What's that balance look like for you?
Yeah, man, I think I'm about like a 50-50
All
rate
right.
right now. Half of the consultations are virtually, half door to door. I've actually implemented and it's gone well, like a hybrid approach where the setters set the appointments obviously at the door, but give the homeowner the opportunity to have the consultation via Zoom, right? Over online. And it's a lot more flexible. People have kids, people are busy with their jobs. Sometimes both homeowners can't be in the house at the same time. So one will do it from home, one will do it from their work. So you always want to have options, just like we give the homeowner options, with leases and ownerships and financing. If we provide, in my opinion, a more of a concierge guide to going solar, I feel homeowners are a lot more open to that, as opposed to just saying, hey, this is what you need, sign here, shove it down their throat. Obviously it's a lot deeper than that in the sales process, but COVID happened, nobody expected it, and nobody was opening the door for 6 months to a year. So something could happen and we could get our internet hacked, and then the people that are all virtual, they're not going to know how to knock a door. So I feel like just having a little bit in each category, as far as the way you generate leads, the way you do your consultations, is always a smart thing to do. And then depending on what your niche is, you kind of do more one than the other. I'll always opt in to go speak to a homeowner one-on-one, man. When I can see your face, your facial expression, I can put my hand on your shoulder, I can back up, read the room and see what's going on. If somebody's screaming in the background, I can take a look and address it. It's always, the more information I have, the better I can be of service. So, but yeah, man, a little bit of both.
It's two different processes, right? Though going in home or selling virtually, when you're doing it yourself is one thing, right? But when you're training other people, it's hard to train somebody. Oh yeah, so 50% you go in home, 50% you're going to sell virtually. Like it's you can't do the same process. So how do you, like, one thing is yourself. How are you training others? Are you saying like figure out if they're better at virtual and focus on virtual? Are they better at door? How do you kind of figure out what's better for the people you're training?
Yeah, good question, Joe. I mean, again, I think this ties back into what we were talking about. If you, in my opinion, I'm not saying I'm right. Most of the time I am right, but I could be wrong.
Sometimes.
If you perceive virtual being a completely different sale than in person, and guess what? It's going to be a completely different sale. So with COVID, it advanced the ability to have actual genuine conversations over online. So my process isn't much different in person than it is over Zoom. So when I train my team, I make it in a way that like, hey, you don't have to learn two different sales styles. You could just say, do one and then implement it. Now, there are things in person that, something you could write on a sheet of paper that you may not be able to do on Zoom. But then again, there's, iPads that you can write on and it shows it on the screen. So like, if you're able to make small adjustments to virtual to in-home, I really try not to overcomplicate it. And in my mind, I'm like, hey, man, it's just as easy in home as it is on Zoom, because what am I talking about? I'm talking about high utility costs and rate hikes, and I'm talking a solution that's stable and sustainable and puts money in their pocket. So I just try to keep it super simple and have some consistency, whether you're in home or out of the home.
I know Josh has some different opinions on that one. He's holding himself back.
We don't have enough time to jump into this.
I have a difference of opinion. I think that from a training standpoint, to be able to provide reps with an extremely detailed, repeatable process is the difference there when you're switching back and forth from one or the other. To kind of to be really good in home and then to switch over to phone or Zoom, which a lot of people did this year, and they found out it's not the same ball game. They had an airtight process in the house, and then they wanted to just kind of replicate that a little bit on the phone, but with no plan. It's not the same. You were successful in the home because you had a step-by-step plan of what to say, when to say it, and how to say it based on what they said. You need to have the exact same thing for the new field that you're playing in. That field could be phone, that field could be virtual or Zoom or some other Google Meet or whatever the software is, but you need to have a game plan geared to that venue that you feel really good about. That's what's going to make you successful in that other space. For most people aren't Mr. Gossett, but most people will, they will need that process. I think that might be the only difference that I would have.
Let me ask you, Rich, how much different do you feel a virtual consultation is than one in home?
Here we go.
How much different? A lot. For instance, right now, Joel's camera is so blurry. It's been blurry the entire time. Like I haven't seen Joel's face really. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm saying Joe. I'm a little stuffy,
Chris, bro. What do you mean? You can see my nose.
I haven't seen Joe Moose's face the entire time. So that's one right there. So when you talk about a stranger who's jumping on to,
this will be clear when we broadcast.
I know it is. Riverside is great, by the way. For a stranger who you would hope to be able to earn their business and provide them a $50, $60, sometimes more $1,000 package over a virtual meet, the senses need to be engaged in that person. When you're in person with them, because we're human beings, your gut is going to steer you in a direction. Do you feel good about them? Do you feel bad about them, etc.? In this domain, it's a little bit different. So you have to think about the things, since I'm not in person and that person's senses are operating differently, what attributes do I need to show more or less of so that I can get the same type of reaction from that person? And even everything that I just said is going to be different for every person, right? Because extroverts and introverts have to think about kind of a different game plan and the things that could potentially get in the way on virtual. So, and then phone is, it's also another game versus everything that I said on virtual. So, but that level of depth and consideration and intentionality is all what we talk about all day long. So I might be a little bit different. Like I nerd out on all the little details about everything when it comes to sales, but that specifically, I do feel like is very, very important. And this is how, when you think about things to that level, this is how you can have someone who feels like, well, I'm just an introvert and I'm not super salesy. I'm not Jeremy Minor. I'm not Rich McCoy. Like I'm just going to, do a couple deals a month, but I'll be okay. Right. Well, when you can show them like with the right process, with the right intentionality, if you know what to do and when to do it, how to do it, you can still perform at a very high level and then have an advantage because you're prepared. And the prepared will always crush the unprepared. Time and time again, it happens in every field, in every sport. So on any given day, any given month, year, etc., if you are prepared, you'll dominate. There's no way to dominate if you're unprepared. That's called luck. And luck happens to people more oftentimes than not than those who are prepared. So, but yeah, little bit different.
So, and that's what I was saying earlier, alluding to the adjustments, right? yes, your senses and your focus needs to be adjusted slightly. What I was referring to was the sales process, asking questions, building the pain, offering a solution, how they're involved, right? Takeaways, pullbacks, tie downs. None of that stuff is any different in person than on a Zoom. That's what I was referring to. Is like, as long as you have a dialed in sales process, yes, you can do a couple different things in person that you can't do on a Zoom, and same and vice versa. But I'm training on not one person to do both at the same time. I feel like you said, if they're more like maybe they're a single parent and they can't go door knocking. Cool. Let's set you up in an in-house, do some virtual. But I feel like the sales process isn't much different outside of those other intangibles. That's kind of what I was referring to earlier.
I think that, I hear exactly what both of you are saying. So Ted, since 2014 or 15, I think I'm on 4,200 something sales reps that we've transitioned over to virtual. What Joel, correct me if I'm wrong here, is saying is the structure and the fundamentals of sales don't change. 100% agree. I always use a 4-step macro 4-step script. You got to do it in order. Doesn't matter in what media. The structure and the fundamentals, sales psychology doesn't change. The big thing that I've seen a lot of in-home guys transition to virtual and why they flounder like a fish is because they understand the process, but how they've implemented that process is now wildly different, specifically in terms of senses. An easy way I've always said is, let's say you go to the gym every single fucking day and you train arms and shoulders every single day. You've never trained legs, but you're still exercising. You still know what you need to do.
Are we supposed to train legs?
Joel never got the memo on the legs.
2024. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try the leg thing.
So then one day you tell this guy, you're like, oh, dude, you know how to work out. You know what to eat. You know when to show up to the gym, how to wake up, how to motivate yourself, what pre-workout to take. But now you got to train legs. So they're like, fuck, I got this shit, man. I've been doing this my whole fucking life. And they get on, they just crumble because they have no fucking muscles. And so what I've seen is the in-home guys, the really solid in-home guys, like they are ultra confident when they start because they know sales, which is true. But they've never worked out the virtual muscle before. I'm a phones only guy. I'm not a fan of Zoom or video conferencing, so it even goes to the extreme, right? Phones only, you lose a lot of senses, you gain a lot of senses, and it's like the data is still there, the fundamentals are still there, but how you interact with that data has changed and how you implement it. So I think both of you are right. The structure, I use the exact same structure that we used back in the door-to-door days, the in-home days. The exact same order, the exact same fundamentals, the same everything. But how that's implemented, especially phones only, is people freak the fuck out about how different it feels, even though the underlying structure and the strategies are like identical at the end of the day.
100%.
Rich, go into about I saw you nodding your head about phone sales, and that's what you're focused. It sounds like that's what you're focusing on too.
Yeah, 100%. So me personally, I would, unless a homeowner is like, yeah, 100%, like, I want to see you, like, let's jump on a Google Meet. Like, I'm going to do it over the phone. And I'll recommend that for most people because for most of your homeowners, right, you don't want to run the risk of them fiddling with technology that could get in the way. And back to the whole thing about senses, when I'm in person, I can fill the room with my energy, with my voice, etc. You don't know if this is a super simple point. The volume on their laptop or their computer, they could have it lower, much lower on purpose or on accident, right? Or it could just be scratchy. Completely kills your entire thing. No one is going to know if that person has good audio coming from their deal or not, unless you've been working that lead for a long time and like you've been over there before, right? But the phone is a familiar place for them. People can think, they can get comfortable, they can walk around, they can go to their favorite chair. They don't have to look presentable, so they can really feel you out. And much like Josh said, their senses, when one sense goes away, the other ones go up, right? So they're listening even harder on the phone is our belief, us phone guys. The virtual thing, for most of them, they haven't made a major purchase for most people over a Zoom or Google Meet before. However, they've made many purchases over the phone. A lot of them, maybe not, $50,000, $60,000, but it's not uncommon for them to share personal information over the phone, like social or payment, etc. And as silly as it sounds, it is for them to do it at this point. So they overthink it because their body has not done it before. So you're asking them to take on this new concept and all this new information over this new technology. And then, Mr. Homeowner, I need your body to do something that is never done before on top of taking in all this stuff. And yes, we can do it. And it's been done 1,000 times. 1,000 deals are being done today virtually. And I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm just giving you like some deeper data to consider how much is going on with the average homeowner when we're putting them in that position of doing everything virtually this way. So we know that most people have a phone and that they can answer the phone and we can have that conversation. And there's something that you need to see. You have your phone, you have your computer. We're sending them things the entire time throughout the conversation to their mobile phone anyways. So it's not like we don't have their eyes connected to certain things that we want to see and give them visually, but all those other cues of the senses that are going to steer and persuade them, we need them to be super high. And I think the phone, we can count on it more than what we can count on with softwares and cameras and things of that nature.
Rich, I want to challenge you to even go even further. There's one thing that I want you to try. I just want you to try this.
What's that?
Don't send them anything. That's all I'm going to say. And I want your sales mind to figure out like how that could be implemented over the phones. The reason I love the phones is because it forces you to be so fucking simple in your pitch that if you get to the root, you don't send them anything. You're only having a conversation. Maybe send like installation docs. Sure. Right. But throughout the sales process, figure out how to not send them anything up until the point where you run finance. You can tap into this fucking insane, simple form of virtual remote solar sales that 99.9% of people, if they saw it, they'd see it was fake. That's a challenge. I'll give that challenge to you. Try to come up with a process you don't actually send them anything up until finance. I can
attest to that not being fake.
In your guys' process, Josh, do you typically go for a one call close or is it like a multiple call process?
Appointment setting call, closing call.
Well, okay, gotcha. So on the one call close, you're sending them nothing up until the point of financing?
Yeah, maybe I'll give you one more hit. So I don't like virtual visuals, digital visuals, I call them. Here's my reasoning behind it. In home, back in the day, I come from back in the day when even our finance contracts were paper and we phoned the fucking finance company with them. And we had all these laminated sheets with like a solar farm, like Jinko solar farm, right? And we'd be like, look, we'd have all these things for them. And then we pass it to the customer and we get them to look at it and hold it. I don't like digital visuals because the customer can never hold it. They see it on your screen or even a picture and they don't feel it's theirs, especially if you show it on the screen. And then they start thinking like, can you send this to me? Can I see this? So ultimately what it looks like is you try to replicate the in-home process by doing something I call the self-proposal method. So you don't send them anything, but you get them to create their own proposal with their paper in their house. But the challenge is you don't send them anything other than confirmation emails and text messages. Get them to create something themselves while you're on the call with them, but don't send them anything. And then the only thing you really send is like, finance docs and sales docs at the end. But we're talking like a 10 to 15 minute close on the phone. It's pretty wild what you can get to if you really go KISS.
Interesting. Yeah. I like that.
Give it a shot, man. Because if you always push like simplicity, it gets fucking wild what you can actually accomplish. And homeowners bloody love it. Like so fewer objections, way fewer objections and questions. It just makes sense to them. The idea behind this is if you're giving information, then the customer must think that they need to understand all this information. And so I get so pissed off with so many sales reps about saying useless information. Maybe you guys might not agree with me on this, but something like the number of panels of the system is like a very common piece of data that sales reps give to homeowners. Why? Number one, panel wattage is totally variable. Number two, it really doesn't matter unless you're worried about the roof not being able to handle. But the customer shouldn't have to worry about that, right? Like we used to go into extreme detail and have all these visuals of the wattage of the panel and all this. Dude, all they give a shit about is they're saving money, they're independent. And if you can show that to them and be confident about it, The rule I always apply is like, if you're wondering whether you should ask a customer a question or tell them a piece of information, apply this rule. Is this fundamental to them getting the best possible product? So if you see, okay, this customer needs a 10 kilowatt system for their exact specific situation, and then you said, oh, by the way, it's going to be 25 panels, and they say, no, I don't want 25 panels, like that information is just getting in the way of things, right? Whereas if it was like, oh, batteries, oh yeah, my husband has a medical device that needs to run 24/7, so I need backup. Okay, we need to go into that conversation then, because that might actually change the end product, their end solution, you know? But when you go phones only and you sort of like start cutting out all this information and asking yourself, do I actually need to show this to the customer? It opens up this new world of, holy shit, it's a 10-minute close on the phone. Let's rock. Yeah.
So Josh, I in my 3 years, I've stumbled into closing 5 deals over the phone because it turned out to be, it started as a discovery call. And then they're like, well, why don't you tell me about it? I'm like, oh yeah, well, basically it's kind of like this. And they're like, oh, this sounds good. Well, what will my payment be? I'm like, it'll probably be like around this much. Okay, that sounds good. Cool. So what's the next step? And I was like, blown out, right? No pictures, nothing. So
yeah.
I'm batting 1,000, 5 for 5. But yeah, phone sales is unbelievable.
It's wild. You know, that's the first thing that I tell people to blow people's mind when they talk about virtual. It's like, so when they get on the Zoom, I'm like, nope, phones. And they're like, wait, what? No, phones won't work. Phones won't work. Dude, name your top 5 favorite salespeople. They're phone salespeople. Fucking Grant Cardone, Jordan Belfort. Oh, these are phone guys. They've been doing it for 40 years. Why the hell can't it happen in solar? You know? I think people get caught up with the idea of like, it has to be high tech. It has to be. And I'm not convinced that tech has caught up to sales efficiency. I think AI might be, you know, a channel towards it, but to this day, phones only, man. Keep it fucking simple.
I'm with them all day. I couldn't say that better. I think we really get that maybe from tech sales, but that's B2B, and we forget that those client to salesperson dynamic is way different from a homeowner who knows, you know, nothing about what you're about to say. In most cases, that simplicity is oftentimes the thing that is going to win them over. So I like that.
Sure.
Well, we got a couple of the best solar sales trainers around. Do you want to give these guys a couple of objection handles real quick?
Rich, you got time?
What you got?
All right, just 2. I got one right now. We're in the winter time, so a lot of homeowners are like, you know, my bills are low right now. I don't need to get solar right now. Joel, this is one you probably get all the time. What do you say to those homeowners like, my bills are too low because it's the winter time right
now? Yeah, Joe, totally get it, man. This is the time of year where you don't have to run the AC. It's not as hot, you know, so for sure those bills are low. You remember a couple of months back though, like what were some of those summer bills? Because just like you have winter, we also do have the summer. What were some of those summer bills looking like?
Yeah, the summer bills are a little higher, so I'll just wait till the summer before I'll get it then. Thanks, Joel.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. So what happens is, Joe, we're in this kind of this cycle, right? This roller coaster, if you will, where the bills go higher in the summer, lower in the winter. At the end of the day, when you add all those summer months up, you end up paying a certain amount of money to the utility company to rent your power, right? Does that kind of make sense?
Yep.
And if we take that amount and we divide it by 12, I'm not trying to turn this into like a math problem, right? But just to figure out what your average payment is. If we take all those months added up, divided by 12, you come up with a number. And that's what you're paying the utility company to essentially rent your power. And then what happens, Joe, is that every single year they implement these rate hikes, these increases, right? Because the cost of everything does go up over time. You agree to that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. So then what happens is that average, right, goes up every single year. And what essentially I'm showing you here is the ability for you to not only lower that amount that you're paying, but have a more sustainable approach to how much you pay for energy over time that actually benefits you instead of the utility company. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have ultimate say on this. The utility company has to approve the application. But why don't we take a look at the numbers? And if paying electricity to yourself puts more money in your pocket and benefits you more than paying the utility company, then we could discuss some possible next steps. Would that help you?
That makes sense. All right, baby.
Let's
I
take a
like
look.
it, man. I don't want to do the same objection for Rich because I don't want this to be any kind of competition. But beautiful answer, Joel. You went through the details on there. For I always talk about too is like once the homeowner says like I'm doing it, to me, I got them. As soon as they say I'm doing it. So if they said to me, "Oh, summertime, yeah, I'll do it," then that's when I'll fucking lock them down. By perfect. So that makes sense. You're gonna do it one day. So if you're gonna do it one day, then why keep throwing away all this money? That money should be going towards you if you're gonna do it anyway, right? So like that one day close for me, I always try to jump on that one. But Rich, all right. So a lot of people are talking about interest rates. I'm sure that this is coming up almost in every conversation because they're not used to these higher rates and higher costs. So homeowner says to you, Rich, this is cool, but this is crazy. I heard rates are going to be going down, so I'll probably just wait for the rates to get lower again.
I can totally understand wanting to make sure that you get the best possible rate on your loan. Do you have any idea specifically when that's going to happen?
No, I just heard of the news yesterday that they're thinking about lowering the rates this next year or something. So,
right, and that could be next year, the year after. The reason why you set the appointment today was because of how much money you were spending right now on the electricity bills. Is that fair to say, or was there a different reason?
Yeah, I just want to lower my bills.
Awesome, perfect. So everybody that I've sat down with lately, Joe, they've all said the same thing. And one of the things that we found was we were coming in to basically marry solar to the house and all of its benefits, but we were going to date the rate, right? And what I mean by that is there's actually a benefit for you to have a higher interest rate right now. Do you guys plan to stay in your home forever?
I mean, I don't know about forever, but I'm not planning on moving anytime soon.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, in the event that you do, because what we find is that most people that we sit down with today don't stay in the same home forever, right? Especially if you're not already in that retirement stage. And I know, like we talked about earlier, you and your wife are both working right now. So we got a little bit of ways away from then. The benefit to taking advantage of all of the incentives that make this thing super affordable and super cost effective now is that when you have a higher rate now, it gives you leverage financially later. It becomes a financial investment play. What I mean by that is if you guys do decide to sell the home and you have a higher interest rate now, between refining with the bank that you have or refining with your own personal bank, there's an opportunity for you to get more cash out either from the sale of your home or from the system itself. So think about it this way. Not only do you have a lower utility bill, not only do you get to take advantage of all the financial incentives available, but in the event that you guys want to move down to Florida and get some of that nice sunny weather, you'd be able to do that and then also pull out some money at the time of the sale of your home because you are dropping down to a lower interest rate. Without that room to do so, you don't have that plan to play with that money there. You're a smart guy. I know you're not going to make the alterations to your roof just to save the $50, but we're talking about being able to play with 30 to 50 grand potentially in 3 to 4 years. What do you think is going to be a better financial fit for your family to be able to pull out 30 to 50 grand, whether you move or not, or to be locked into a 2% interest rate and save $50 per month on your electricity bill? Which one of those sounds like a better deal? Keep in mind, the higher interest rate option also reduces that electricity bill. Which one of those sounds like a better way to play the money game?
I want 50,000, baby.
Right. So yeah, I'm not a realtor, right? But we talk about multiple different methods to be able to help people get around that high interest rate play. And a lot of times it is a better fit for most people if they know loans. And I feel like this belongs in every training class. We talk a lot about the technical, as we should, in the sales, but we don't. Even you guys can surf the net right now. How many of us are doing like series on interest rates and how to play with them and how to describe them in a way to a homeowner to make them want to take advantage of a higher interest loan on purpose, right? On purpose, not because that's the only option today, but looking at it as here's the bright way, the best way to go.
Definitely. You guys definitely know your shit. It's some legit solar sales trainers right here. And we have this quick last segment, but before we do, if people wanted to reach out, Joel, and be like, yo, that guy knows his shit. I want to learn more from that guy. What's the best way to reach out? My Solar Coach on Instagram or TikTok? Should they email you? They call you? What's the best way?
Yeah, man, they could always shoot me a DM. Just look me up, My Solar Coach. I'm on all platforms, and I'll get back to you, and we'll have a nice little chat, see where you are, see how I can provide some value and help you get to the next level.
Beautiful. And Mr. The Real Rich McCoy.
Yeah, so I'm Rich McCoy Official on YouTube and Instagram. You can find me there. Solar Sales IQ on TikTok. Primarily work with anybody if you're new to the field, if you're looking to grow your team, start a team, start your own dealership, make the jump like most of us did this year over from knocking doors all day to maybe banging out the phones, right? And getting more done in less time. We're helping people build call centers and hire their own train setters every day. So Rich McCoy Official on all social media platforms. You can pretty much find me most places by that handle.
All right, Josh, now that you have it.
Love it. All right. Well, let's wrap it up, but let's finish off with, a one or two liner of what your guys' goals are for 2024 specifically. It's going to come out right at the beginning here. So we got 11, 12 months left of it. Where do we want to be come December 2024? Let's go Rich first.
Where do I want to be come December 2024? So a year from now, part of my big goal for the year is to do a big push on content within YouTube. So I'm going to say, what's today? Today is the 28th. I want to have at least 300 long format videos posted on YouTube by this day next year. I know that if I do that, like all the other goals that I have will just be pulled by that. So it's a tall order, but that's what we're shooting for, right?
That's a tall order. Get on it, soldier. Love it.
That is huge, bro.
Nice one.
I know you can do it, though.
What about yourself, Joel?
Yeah, man. I mean, as far as social media, definitely looking to hit over 100,000 followers, man, and really expand in that market. I
think we froze him. We lost him.
Right.
His goal was too big.
His goal was to finish this podcast. They didn't make it.
His goal was way too big for the universe. Let's see if he jumps back in here.
Yeah.
The funny thing about having a lot of followers, though, is that they don't always equate to dollars. I don't have a lot of followers on YouTube, but YouTube's been very, very good to me. I think maybe because what's that?
I think it's the niche though, right? Like followers, if you were in real estate, if you had, like, we have close to 2,000 followers on YouTube now, but it's an amazing audience because it's solar and it's so niche. But if you were in, like a super broad audience, you have to have hundreds of thousands of followers to make a dent. I think it's the niche.
Yeah, I agree.
He's back. His goal was way too big.
Is the Florida Power and Light Utility Company. They knew I was about to blast them this next 2024 and take all their customers. That's why they cut my power lines.
Oh, man.
So, hey, 100,000 followers on social media, man. I really want to expand the reach and try to impact as many people as possible as far as motivating them, helping them to see things in a different light, not help not let their own preconceived notions on what their limits are get in the way of their success. And a business partner of mine that I can't disclose right now because we're in the works. We're working on something pretty big in the industry that's going to help solar professionals have solid install times, get paid on time, and have enough leads that they don't know what to do with. So I'm excited about that. So I'm looking for.
We know who the partner is.
I'm looking for the next 20 that are going to scale. This guy's underground, man. Not too many people know, but
okay.
I'm excited about it. So big thing.
His name isn't Jonathan, is it? Nah.
That's something else Joel is doing. He's going to be an MC at SolarCon this year, coming up in April. And we're really excited to have him there. What's up, Joel?
Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, we about to bring.
You guys got to check out his suits. I remember seeing
Yeah.
it 1 second. I left. I turned back around. He had a whole nother just super fly suit on. I was like, dang. And then all week he was just dressed to the nine. You're a great host, dude. You're a great host.
Rich, one of the requirements for me to take on this host was unlimited wardrobe budget.
You got it
Love
down.
it.
You
I
deserve
love
it,
it.
bro.
Thanks,
Oh,
man.
we appreciate you guys. It's been an awesome episode. Oh, always awesome talking to Joel and Rich. Appreciate you guys. We are out.
We'll
Soul
see you
Pulse
guys later. Have a
Podcast.
good one.
Later, guys.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Catch ya. Peace.